the question is what happens when we want to create a new franchise? Well, for the crew, we're doing a driving game. We've been doing driving game for a long time. Before the crew, we did test drive activities, the early games, and each time, basically we're making games because it's our passion and because it's a way to work and have fun at the same time. It's always tough, it's demanding, it's long hours, hard work, but it's worth it because it's basically we can have fun and we can try and find new ways to express ourselves. And creating a new franchise for me, and it's not so much creating a franchise, it's trying to bring new stuff, to find new ways to express ourselves. The crew, for example, because that's what we've been working on for so long. We've always been playing driving games, doing driving games for a long time, and it's very easy to start, running in circles and doing the same stuff, and let's try and do your stuff a bit better and a bit better, and it's very gratifying to think out of the box and start thinking, no, I want to do something completely different. And for us, for the crew, it was, driving is not just about, driving in circles and circuits, but what's the fun about driving a car? What's all the fantasies you can have when you think about driving and cars in real life? And it's so much more than what you can find in video games. And suddenly it opens doors, it opens access to new worlds, and that's what we try and bring into our games.
Okay, right on. Hobbit is coming from the side of a new IP. For myself, Assassins is already an established IP. So what we look at when we're coming up with a new iteration of the franchise is making sure that we stick to the core of games, essentially. And that is, it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be something a little bit above and beyond reality, while still grounded within history. We want to make sure that the core tenets of the gameplay are enjoyable. And that's the first and the foremost. The second is, how can we really try to immerse you guys as players into both, not just a historical aspect of it, but also the narrative aspect, all the holes within the history that we can really play with from a creative side. But in short, I'd have to say our main goal is to make sure it's a fun game that really keeps you tied in and immersed within the game world and the lore itself.
Yes. So I would say for us it was kind of a combination between both. So we have a new IP with The Division, but also an existing IP with Tom Clancy. So the challenge was to create a world and a universe that wasn't stepping on what's already been made. We have a pretty rich Clancy heritage in Ubisoft, and getting a new unit into that doesn't step on anybody else's toes, that's interesting, that can really bring something new to the suite of games. So that's kind of where we started as a basis, and then to take it a little bit deeper, I would say you have to think about what type of target audience you're looking for with your game. We wanted to merge RPG and Clancy in an online game. Who are we shooting for? What type of gameplay is that what type of gameplay will have the best effect for the players that we want to play? So it's a great question, but it's so many things, that you need to think about when you're kind of shooting and creating a new IP, or even working on an existing IP.
Right, okay. I was kind of expecting a riddle, so thank you for being straightforward.
We still have time for another question. Okay, I'm just going to come out from the back here as well. So.
Wondering, how you feel? I'll tell you.
I've been following The Division for a while, and I just would like to know how you've overcome graphical challenges for console, considering the PC, because not everyone has a high-end gaming PC. busy. So with the graphics and the render distancing and things like that, because it looks really, really good, is that handled more by the client or the server?
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, what are the challenges graphically for creating the fidelity we have in the game?
Yeah, so the game that flows rather than static, I think. It's good close up and it's strong in the background.
Sure, it's a good question. I'd say it's the first thing that actually makes it even possible is, you've probably seen, if you're following the division, our Snowdrop engine video that we put out, and it actually is 100% due to Snowdrop. Having an engine that is being developed specifically for a game is a super a wonderful gift, I would say, in the gaming industry. So to be able to meet a new mechanic or from any of the disciplines in the game, new tech art, new code, and have it be in the game in 2-3 days because of our turnaround is amazing. So the graphics themselves are in the engine, and it's both server and client side. But I'm also probably the worst person to ask tech questions about how Snowdrop actually works. It's just magic and it's gorgeous. Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing is the engine.
Where is he?
Hi, my name's Ben. How would the two Assassin's Creeds join up? Assassin's Creed Rogue and Unity? How would they connect?
In short, they don't directly connect. They're two completely standalone games, first of all. One of them continues to focus on one of the key elements to Black Flag, which was the naval aspect of it, and is developed for what we call current gen or last gen of consoles. Assassin's Creed Unity, obviously we make sure that all games, all novels, everything branded Assassins fits within the overall lore, that we have a brand team to make sure everything ties together, but there's no direct relation between the two. Apart from the overarching theme of Assassins versus Templars, but both of them are set within historically different eras, and both have starkly contrasting protagonists. So while they all tie within the same core concept of that, feud between the two groups, they're pretty drastically different, and I don't think there is a direct correlation you can tie between the two.
One at the back here.
Hi, I was wondering what would be the motivation applying to be a concept artist for companies like Ubisoft, maybe young artists and stuff?
So how do you get into the industry as an artist? Concept artist. You have a book or a page or stuff you do. You would just try to basically. I know that a lot of my friends who are concept artists have a vision, and they use that to the studios have recruiters that are looking constantly for talent, and concept art is something that's always in high demand for all types of projects, all types of studios. So if you're good, it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah.
I can also kind of touch base on that. Working with the character team, we rely strongly on 2D concepts to really make sure we're meeting the artistic design in their direction. But one of the key components is that you have to be really strong artistically, and you really have to have a visual flavor. But at the same time, you have to understand that while it is art and it does take creativity, you're also the very first step of a complex pipeline, and it's important that you're still able to work within some pretty restricted confines in terms of delivery dates and everything. So while we really understand the importance of your artistic flair, it still needs to be balanced with delivery and making sure that you're still able to produce stuff to kick off the pipeline in that long process of getting a character from 2D got to be a fine balance between artistic and deliverables. So you really have to make sure that you're able to iterate, understand the demands, and turn that into a concept. So envisioning other people's work and making it your own while still keeping their core idea.
Okay. Any more?
I just wanted to ask, how do you go about making PC ports for games? Because I played Assassin's Creed on PC, which was very well optimized. I played the Crew beta, which was on people, which was really well. I want to know how well they're putting it into the port for Division. Because as my friend I've been following that since I first saw a quick release trailer, and I'm really interested. And is it going to require a massively high-end PC, or could you run on a middle, like middle-range system, or exactly what hardware level would you require for it?
Sure. So the question was, how do we go about porting for the Division? It's a great question because we actually are making sure that we do not go about porting for the Division. So we're developing the game simultaneously on all three platforms, and that's when we talk about the differences between a console game and a PC game, especially the third-person shooter that has skill use, that has an aiming challenge involved in the mechanics of just playing. It's very, very different. So we basically, you kind of just have to make sure you take the time to not only develop the control scheme, but the menus, the UI involved, and that gets to production managers, people that are planning out everything that needs to be done for the game. But at least in the case of our game, we're doing it all at the same time. So we make sure that when we make a decision for the game, enemy type, new skill, different things, that it goes through all of the channels for all of the different platforms.
Hello. I was just wondering how a company like Ubisoft goes about game production when game production is a wicked problem, and you don't know how well the game will sell in the end.
Sorry, what was the question? How we go about games production when we aren't sure what the end sales will be?
Yeah, well, game production is a wicked problem. So, like, if you were to make a game, you don't know at the end if it's going to be fun and it's going to sell. But when you're investing such large quantities of money into a game, you have to have some assurance of return on investment. Like when people make indie games, they make a lot of indie games, but they make them cheap. And hopefully one will sell really well.
To those of you heading to the
I think it's a good question. It's a difficult question to answer. I think what we're trying to do with our games is really to invest in quality, and that quality pays in the end. And I think it's really the overall strategy Ubisoft is going for, which is creating brands that last and that do exist for quality, and trying to make sure that all over the production process, we make sure that we have regular steps where we do review the game internally, we change ourselves very, very much internally within the team, with the editorial direction at Ubisoft at all levels, and it's a really a bet on quality. And today we are going even beyond that because it's engaging with the communities and the player, and more early trying to go and get our games to be played through internal playtests, closed betas, through open betas, to more and more make sure that we go for quality more and more all the time because that's the key to success.
So yeah, that's a big part of it. Playtesting is also a key component to us throughout development. We get a lot of rich feedback from players, and we're all gamers in general. But another aspect of it is something that I think Ubisoft is pretty good at is, I hate these finance terms, but there's something called something process. You've got to get to a point where it comes down to black and white. We internally look at ourselves and we decide whether this is fun or not. And it's not uncommon for projects to be canned halfway through production. Because even though we've invested so much, if we look at ourselves internally and we look around and we say, you know what guys, this isn't meeting our vision, this isn't really fun to play, there's got to be a time where you stand up and you say, you know what, we kind of fell through, whether it be because our vision was short, our tools didn't come through, or just the market itself has changed. So there's a lot of aspects that go into it. And we do a lot internally to make sure as we're producing games, we revisit what the original goal was. And we work a lot, like I said, with the community and with the fans, and we bring in people to do playtests internally. We watch how they react to gameplay elements, and there's always tweaking that can be done. And now, even once we release games now, due to the state of gaming and online, there's a lot of data that we can get on the back end. So even though we release a game, there's still a lot of balancing and tweaking that we can do with data that we receive post-release that we can still very much leverage to our advantage and make sure that the games are meeting our expectations and are providing the overall gameplay and the overall goal that we wanted you guys to have.
Right, alright, we'll take a couple more.
Hi there guys, just a question particularly with regards to Assassin's Creed. Just wondering what the process is in terms of selecting the next location for the next game. I mean, you've got Middle East, Italy, USA, France. Just wondering what the process is in terms of selecting the next location. And as a follow-up, would you be inclined to bring it down under?
Would we be inclined to bring it down under? Well, I think the first question is very interesting, and I would very much like to know the process. I've been working on Assassin's Creed Unity for a year and a half, and it has taken 110% of my focus just to make sure that we are releasing the best next-gen iteration of the franchise that we can. What comes after that, in all honesty, is not my concern at this time. I want to make sure that when you guys get this game in your living rooms in 5 weeks, you get the best experience you can. What follows after that will be amazing, I'm sure, but there are brand specific and corporate people looking into that. So Down Under could definitely be interesting, but so is the rest of history.
Okay. I've got a smaller fan over here. Do you want to stand up? Or are you okay?
Will Assassin's Creed ever have a girl as the leader in blah?
Unfortunately, that's something I can't answer. It is a very big universe, and I would find it hard for us not to have it. There are a lot of historically rich female characters in general. But the immediate focus is on fulfilling obligations that we've already committed to, and for the sake of those characters and those storylines are already established. But it's very much the same as the question that the gentleman asked over there. I've been so focused on the game that I'm working on that I honestly can't answer. Sorry.
Okay, lucky last question.
I've watched some videos about this on YouTube. I've just been wondering. I found it very interesting and it's really awesome. I just wondered if you guys have any intention of bringing that I've been watching some videos on YouTube on your Snowdrop engine, and I've really been impressed with it. I was just wondering if you guys have any intention of bringing that available to the public. Well, I think we're focusing on using it for the division first, but you know what Ubisoft's plans are beyond that. You know, it's an Ubisoft engine, an Ubisoft product. I have absolutely no idea. So we'll see.
All right, thanks a lot for that, guys. So we're going to do some signings up here at the front now. So just give the devs a minute or two just to get settled, and then feel free to line up and just request whichever.
Thank you, guys.